On a cloudy fall day, a Soviet Tu-95 bomber flies over the island Novaya Zemlya, located in the Arctic Sea. Reaching a height of 35,000 feet, the pilot drops his ordnance. The Tsar Bomba, a 50-megaton nuclear bomb. Within moments, the fusion device detonates, shooting a flash of light through the atmosphere, visible from 600 miles away. It was, and remains, the largest nuclear detonation in history.
It was originally designed to be 100 megatons. It very nearly killed the senior officer who was piloting the aircraft that dropped the test article.
Capable of destroying everything within a 15-mile radius and delivering third-degree burns within a 64-mile radius. The Tsar Bomba remains the final word in total annihilation of an enemy target. Today, the Tsar Bomba is but a reminder of the Cold War arms race and the danger of an all-out nuclear war that would have likely caused the destruction of both the US and Soviet Union, if not the world. Yet the threat of nuclear attack from our former adversary remains.
The risk of accidental attack is more serious, I think, than most people realize. The Russians maintain a large nuclear arsenal. Since the collapse of the Soviet Union, they've had a huge economic setback. Their warning system has deteriorated terribly. There are gaps in their radars. Their satellites have broken down. The Russians, of course, reassure us that, no, we have nothing to worry about. But the consequences would be so grave that we should take it very, very seriously, even if it has a minuscule chance of happening at all.
The threat of a nuclear attack from a rogue nation or a well-organized stateless group is also cause for grave concern.
Whether North Korea has nuclear weapons is very much in the press today. So should terrorists get their hands on sufficient nuclear materials, either to make a non-nuclear weapon, a radiological weapon, or to actually get a nuclear detonation, however small, would be a horrendous attack.
The evolution of precision guidance systems has eliminated the need for large-yield nuclear weapons like the Tsar Bomba. But make no mistake, the detonation of a 1-megaton nuclear bomb would yield more destructive power than any weapon the world has ever seen.
Weapon, thermonuclear warhead. Yield 1 megaton surface blast. Energy released. Blast 50%. Thermal radiation 40%. Fallout 10%.
To comprehend the true lethality of a thermonuclear explosion requires an understanding of the massive amount of energy that's released upon detonation. When a thermonuclear bomb detonates, an instantaneous fission reaction creates a secondary fusion reaction, fusing hydrogen and its isotopes together to form helium, releasing enormous amounts of energy.
And it occurs in a very small volume. Therefore, the total energy divided by the volume is very large. And that means the temperatures are stupendously high. Temperatures that are higher than the center of the sun.
Upon detonation, a thermonuclear bomb emits a stream of X-rays, infrared rays, and gamma rays. This is referred to as thermal radiation and is visible to the naked eye in the form of a brilliant flash of light, lasting from 1 to 10 seconds.
It emits all of this X radiation that's absorbed by the air around it. The outside of the air is burning. It's forming basically smog. The nitrogen and the oxygen are reacting, turns brown, and so the light coming out actually goes down until that burns off, and then it goes up again.
The heat from the infrared rays will set people and buildings on fire. The X-rays will irradiate those closest to the explosion.
The X-rays don't get very far. They're absorbed by the air. The air is then heated up by these X-rays to millions of degrees.
The immense heat expands the air around the point of impact, creating a spherical shock wave and winds that can reach hundreds of miles per hour.
And if it were a humid day, you would be able to see that shock wave running along the ground and through the air, because it would cause instant condensation of moisture in the atmosphere, and you'd see sort of a white ghost of a shock wave traveling through the air.
The wind from the shock wave extinguishes the fires caused by the thermal radiation, but will flatten everything in its path within a radius of 2 miles.
You get the expansion out, but then the thermal plume of the bomb is rising. A mushroom cloud is forming. And so you'll get a counterflow, which when air flows up, it sucks things in, and so you get a reversal of the flow as things flow back toward the detonation center and rise.
A 1 megaton surface explosion will lift tons of soil up into the mushroom cloud, which will become irradiated and return as fallout. The heaviest fallout particles will rain down closest to ground zero. People exposed to this fallout will die in a matter of hours from acute radiation sickness. The smaller particles may travel thousands of miles, depending on wind velocity.
If you ingest the material and it stays in your body, the long-term impact is that it can produce significant excess cancer of various sorts.
The combination of thermal radiation, shockwave, and fallout could potentially kill millions, making the thermonuclear bomb easily the world's deadliest weapon. By 2004, the nuclear fraternity consisted of 7 countries that had all detonated nuclear devices. Other countries were desperately working toward joining the family. Thus, there appears to be no end in sight to nuclear proliferation, and no end to the threat of attack from the world's deadliest weapon. According to the Center for Defense Information, there are approximately 30,000 intact nuclear warheads worldwide. All but 200 are retained by the United States and Russia. Deadliest Weapons will return on Modern Marvels.
Shalom, with the Real Hebrew Israelites coming in week out. His brothers here at Great Millstone, Chicago, you know, with a guest brother from GMS, Gary, Indiana. And as the video you seen at the beginning of this lesson, so you know what we're going into. You know, so first and foremost, I'd like to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahawah'S, Yahawah'S. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to all you Achim around the world preaching the gospel in truth and in sincerity and with charity. You know, so can we start with what's that? Isaiah 54 and 16.
This is Isaiah 54 and 16. It says, "Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coal in the fire."
So the Lord said He created the smith that bloweth the coal in the fire. Can we get what's that, Isaiah? Is it 13 about the weapons of the Lord's indignation? You know, can you read that again, brother?
This is Isaiah 54 verse 15. It says verse 16. It says, "Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coal in the fire."
Right. So the Lord created these scientists, man, who created the atom bomb, the hydrogen bomb, this nuclear bomb, you know. Go ahead, bro.
It says, "And that bringeth forth an instrument for his work."
Right, an instrument for his work. What work? You know, the work of that besom of destruction. This judgment that's going to take place in this place, man. Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon. Sodom and Gomorrah, Egypt, Assyria, so on and so forth. You know? You got that lesson? Go ahead.
It says, "And I have created the waster to destroy."
And have created the waster to destroy. And what's the waster? It's what's that, Psalms 91? You grab that, you call Baba Kusha. Psalms 91, I think it's like verse 3 or verse 4. Speak about wasting at noonday.
This is
Deliver thee from the snare of the fowler.
This is Psalms 91 and 3. It says, surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler
Mm-hmm.
and from the noisome pestilence.
Mm-hmm. Which noise and pestilence, talking about those missiles. Go ahead, bro.
He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust.
Mm-hmm. And speaking about getting beamed up into those chariots, man. You know. Go ahead, bro.
His truth shall be thy shield and buckler.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night,
Mm-hmm.
nor for the arrow that flieth by day.
And the arrow that flies by day, keep that in mind about that arrow. Because we're going to go in and, Lord willing, through the scriptures, prove what an arrow is according to the scriptures.
I got you right
See?
here. I'll let you finish that verse.
Go ahead, bro.
Verse 6, it says, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness,
Mm-hmm.
nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday.
That destruction that wasted at noonday, man. So he created that waster to destroy, man. You know? Go ahead, bro.
All right, this is Job 20 and 22. I'm gonna start at Jeremiah. I'm gonna hit Jeremiah 50 first. This is Jeremiah 50 and 22. A sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. How was the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How was Babylon become a desolation among the nations? And that's gonna come, man. Hey, this great city that people expect to go on forever, man. That seems like it has no end. All right, the beauty of the Chaldees, man. This place is gonna fall, man. All right, it's gonna be a swift destruction. All right, people are gonna look and wonder at it, man. I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou was not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. Yahweh hath opened his armory and hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation.
Yep.
For this is the work of the Lord Yahawah of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans. Come against her from the utmost border, open her storehouses, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly, let nothing of her be left. Alright, and that's what's coming to this land, man. It said this place is going to be as a desert. Alright, only desert animals going to come, man. Alright, and I'm going to get the second Esdras, you know, that tells you how it's going to come from the end of the earth, man. To show that it's the nukes. It's the only way, it's the only weapon it could be. Second Esdras 16. Hold on, slap it. Slap it.
Good. You got something to go here, bro?
Oh, yeah, you got it. It is second Esdras 16. Slap it. Second Esdras 16. And just 13 the point. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow, his arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss. When they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. So what arrow can go from one end of the earth to the other, man? It's them ICBM, man. They call them intercontinental ballistic missiles, man.
That's right.
All right, that's them nukes, man. From one end of the earth to the other, and that's that Jeremiah, the weapons of the Lord's indignation, man. All right, this come from the utmost parts to lay the land to waste, to slay all, man. Go ahead.
This is Isaiah 13:5. They come from a far country.
Yeah. That's perfect to back up what the brother just read, you know? And that's what he had next. Go ahead, bro.
Isaiah 13:5. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land.
And what's the weapons of his indignation? You know, that's those ICBM missiles, man. You know? Go ahead, bro.
Howl ye, For the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore, all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. And they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrow shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames.
Right, their faces shall be as flames. Man, go ahead. That's nasty. Can the brother hold Zechariah 14 and 12? Baba Kushai?
One is Jeremiah too.
Wait, what's this brother read?
No, it's one is Jeremiah.
Oh, okay. Can you finish that, brother?
Okay.
It says the faces shall be flames. Is it more?
50.
Yeah, it is. It says, behold, this is Isaiah 13 and 9. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it.
That's why in Isaiah, this land is even called Tophet, man. That place of the fire, man. When they sacrificed, they burned human sacrifices, man. This land was called Tophet. This is a recompense for idolatrous works like that, man. In fact, it's going to get to it. This is Jeremiah 50, and back in 27. Slay all her bullocks, let them go down to the slaughter. Woe unto them, for their day is come, the time of their visitation. The voice of them that flee and escape out of the land of Babylon, to declare in Zion the vengeance of Yahweh our power, the vengeance of his temple. Call together the archers against Babylon. All ye that bend the bow, camp against it round about. And that goes in that Joel when they shall say, I am strong, man. That's what's going on in this world. All these nations that were weak, man, are flexing back because they too got nuclear capabilities, man. That's the scriptures coming alive right before our eyes, man. Which lets you know this is all the plan and work of the Heavenly Father. Or our power, Yahawah'S, Yahawah'S. Alright? Let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she hath done, do unto her. For she has been proud against Yahweh, against the Holy One of Israel. Therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and all her men of war shall be cut off in that day, saith Yahweh. Behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts. For thy day is come, the time that I will visit thee. And the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise them up. And I will kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all around about him. Thus,
Yeah, who was the most proud, man? Esau. Esau is the most proud, man. Because he's running the world right now. And he said their heart shall faint, man. They're going to get weak when they see the Lord and he looks like us. Just going to destroy them.
Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were pressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Their Redeemer is strong. Yahweh of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. And that's the destruction the Lord is bringing to save his elect, man. The Lord said he gave ransom for us, man. He gave Ethiopia as a spoil, Egypt as a spoil for our lives, man. He's going to do the same here, man, with this great slaughter. Right, he's about to wipe this motherfucking country off the map, man, to save his children. Right, because y'all refuse to let us go. A sword is upon the Chaldeans, said the Lord, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. A sword is upon the liars, they shall dote. A sword is upon the mighty men, they shall be dismayed. A sword is upon the horses, and upon their chariots. And like King David said, everything that pissed against the wall, man, is about to get destroyed, man. And upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her, and they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. A drought is upon her waters, and they shall be dried up. For it is the land of graven images, and they are mad upon their idols. Therefore the wild beasts of the desert with the wild beasts of the islands shall dwell there, and the owl shall dwell therein, and it shall be no more inhabited forever. neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Hey, as the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. That's fire and brimstone, man. It said that would be an example to the generations that lived ungodly, man. And that's Babylon, man. Spiritual Sodom. All right, that's why this place got to get hit with destruction, like Peter's described it. If the brother can grab that, fire hot enough to melt elements, man.
I got that right here.
Come.
This is 2 Peter 3:10. It says, "But then the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat, and the earth also and the work therein shall be burned up." It says, basically that's the point, you know. And when you think about it, what can melt the elements? Because when you look around, all the things that you see around you is made with elements, you know. So the scripture says,
turn the shit back to dust. I'll put it like this: it takes fire to turn sand to glass, but it takes an extreme heat, man, to knock that shit from glass back to sand. That's nuclear fire, man. Basically, a portion of the power of the sun, which is how you know that nuclear capabilities are from the Heavenly Father, because that's basically harnessing the power of the sun, man.
This Joel chapter 3, and I'm gonna start at 7. It says, "Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabaeans, to the people far off, for Yahawah has spoken it. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up." This is the point, verse 10. "Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say, I am strong." So the countries that you have over there, you know what I'm saying, like North Korea and stuff like that, the so-called weak, now they have nuclear arms, you know what I'm saying? They got nuclear weapons now. Now they getting all like, yo, we badass too. You know what I'm saying? So the weak is saying, yo, we're strong. And you got these other little nations that got nuclear weapons. And you got brothers coming out with precepts proving what, about there's nuclear weapons in the scripture and how it's going to come upon, you know what I'm saying, Babylon. You know what I mean? So you got the weak saying they strong, and they're going to use them weapons. These weapons ain't there to just sit there. It's not for display. This ain't a fucking museum. It's going to be used, man.
Yep, as I said, beat your pruning hooks into spears, man. So they not investing their money in the agriculture and in the schools and everything what they doing, man. No, they investing their money into their military arms.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like the brother said, now they got nuclear capabilities. So America ain't the big boy on the block no more, right? Because this is Isaiah 9:5. It says, "For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood." Right? So they be out there screaming, swords and everything, garment, blood getting on you. They in the battle, right? It says, "But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire," man. So it's going to be missiles shot back and forth. You know? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they can back you up.
Oh, okay.
This is that Job 20 and 26, because you said instead of that war like normal, this is going to be fire back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to describe the fire. Job 20:23. "When he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating."
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it's definitely going to come from above. "He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through."
Yep.
So now we understand that bow, that arrow that's being shot, man, is a metal one. Okay? And coming from way into the earth. It is drawn and coming out of the body, so out of the ground, them silos, man. Yea, the glittering sword. That's how it looks when it's coming down, man. Coming out of his gall, terrors are upon him. All darkness shall be hid in his secret places. A fire not blown shall consume him. It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. All right, that's that missile, man. A fire not blown, man. All right, because how those nuclear explosions happen, it's nuclear fission, nuclear fusion. It's nuclear fusion, man. All right, so it's not a normal blown fire at that, man. Yep. Basically, it's a chemical reaction, man. A high-speed chemical reaction, man. High-impact chemical reaction.
Just like if you split two atoms, you know what I'm saying, that could cause, you know what I'm saying, like the atom bomb, you know what I'm saying? That's them two atoms hitting each other and splitting it. It caused that, what did you say, nuclear fusion, kind of.
And if I could back the brother up, what did they call it? They called it this glittering what?
Glittering sword.
A glittering sword, right? This is Deuteronomy 32 and 41. It says, if I wet my glittering sword, and my hand take hold on judgment, and I will render vengeance to my enemies, and will reward them that hate me. And I will make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, and that with the blood of the slain and of the captives from the beginning of revenges upon the enemy. For you guys who say the Old Testament is done away with, man, that's talking about this destruction, man. Is it more than that joke? That was it.
This is Isaiah 66, and I'm going to start at 13. As one whom his mother comforted, so will I comfort you, and ye shall be comforted in Jerusalem. And when you see this, your heart shall rejoice, and your bones shall flourish like an herb. And the hand of the Lord shall be known toward his servants, and indignation towards his enemies. For behold, the Lord will come with fire and with chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many.
Will he judge all flesh, man? And the slain of the Lord shall be many. With the nuclear missiles flying around. Right? This is Psalms 58, verse 7. It says, it's verse 6. It says, break their teeth, O power in their mouth. Break out the great teeth of the young lions, O Yahawah. Let them melt away as waters which run continually. When he bendeth his bow to shoot his arrows, let them be as cut in pieces. As a snail which melteth, let every one of them pass away, like the untimely birth of a woman, that they may not see the sun. You know, and that's that fire hitting you. Going back to Zechariah 14 and 12. You know, if a brother was holding that.
Yeah, this is Zechariah 14 and 12. This shall be the plague. This should be the plague wherewith Yahawah shall smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. The flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet. Their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth.
And what can do that, man? Goes back to the Peter the brother read, man. That same fire that can burn the elements, which is that nuclear fire. You know? That was in there, bro?
Okay.
You holding anything? Okay.
This is Joel chapter 2. I'm going to start at verse 1. Blow ye the trumpets in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain, which is the elect. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand, a day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong. There hath not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it.
Right, and that people is speaking about mystery, you know, because it's going to describe them. Go ahead.
even to the years of many generations. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth.
Right, a fire devours before them, because when it explodes, it sends out that wave of fire. And it says a flame burneth behind them. That's his propulsion system of how you get around. Go ahead, bro.
Them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them.
Mm-hmm.
We was talking about this earlier. You know, Eden was like also to keep away 2/3. Man, even then, like you said, it was a protector of the gate, like kind
Read that again, brother.
of. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth.
Mm-hmm.
The land is as the Garden of Eden.
Right, it's talking about the land being lustful.
Mm-hmm.
Or basically how you see it today. You see all these buildings, you see everything looks normal. Right? But go ahead.
Before them, and behind
So
them.
before they hit, everything's look like how it looked. Go ahead.
And behind them a desolate wilderness.
And after they hit, it's a desolate wilderness, man. Because it wipes everything out.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yea, and nothing shall escape them.
Keep going.
The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run.
Exactly. Can the brother get Revelations 9:16? Bible for sure. Read that again, brother.
This is Joel chapter 2 and 4. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses,
Mm-hmm.
and as horsemen, so shall they run.
Right. The appearance of them is the appearance of horses. Talking about the power that, like he's seeing. Go ahead, read that Revelation, Bible for sure.
This is Revelations 9:16. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them.
Exactly, which is 200 million missiles. Go ahead.
And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth, and brimstone.
Right, which is he's speaking of these missiles. Because back then he didn't have the word missile in his vocabulary. So he's describing them the best way he can. Go ahead, bro.
And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone.
Right, because right there at the head of the missile is where the power lies. Go ahead, bro.
By these three was a third part of men killed, by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone, which is issued out of their mouths.
Mm-hmm.
For their power is in their mouth, and in their tails.
Power in the mouth, which is the actual warhead, and in its tail, which is how it gets to the other end of the earth. Go ahead.
For their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt.
And with them they do hurt. The heads hurt. The explosion, the warhead. Now go ahead back to Joel, brother.
Would you like to continue off just that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, come. This is Joel chapter 2, verse 5. Like the noise of chariots on the top of mountains, shall they leap like the noise of a flame of fire, that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. Before their face the people shall be much pained. All faces shall gather blackness.
Right, that's Zechariah 14. That's that melting away, man. That's that all faces shall gather flames, like the brother read in Isaiah 13 earlier. That's that fire, man. Go ahead, bro.
This is Joel chapter 2 and 7. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. And they shall march everyone on his way, and they shall not break their ranks.
Mm-hmm. Meaning whichever target that missile is sent, it's going to hit that target. It's going to march on its way. Go ahead.
Neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk everyone in his path.
Mm-hmm. So it ain't going to thrust another. It ain't going to run and knock into each other or none of that. It's going to stay on this trajectory.
That's right.
Good.
And when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded.
Right, so when you send up your little missile defense systems, man, it ain't gonna work. Your little counter missiles and shit, it ain't gonna get wounded. So it's gonna continue to come. Go ahead.
They shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the wall. They shall climb up upon the houses.
Mm-hmm.
They shall enter in at the windows like a thief.
Yep, because that's that besom of destruction, man. That's that fire that's knocking everything back, man. Like a sweeping the broom. That fire gonna sweep everything, man. You know? That destroying wind that Jeremiah, what is that, the 50th chapter? If I'm not mistaken.
Kind of, like Revelation, what was it, 22,000?
200 million.
200 million. And one of the missiles of Russia, they were saying it could destroy basically France and
Texas.
And yeah, basically the whole state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine
just one, you know.
Just one.
So imagine all of them.
Satan too.
Yep.
I
What's going on, Jordan?
Yeah, you can finish that out, bro.
The earth shall quake, this is Joel chapter 2 and 10. The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark. And the stars shall withdraw their
And
shining.
it said the earth shall quake, man. So Isaiah speaks about the earth reeling too. See?
This is Isaiah 24 and 19. The earth is utterly broken down. The earth is clean dissolved. The earth is moved exceedingly. Alright, we talked about that heat, man. That shit, there's no clean dissolve this place, man. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again.
And it's not gonna rise again, man. This place is gonna be through. Like the brother read, it's gonna be nothing but desert animals living here. You know?
You said it'll go to and fro like a drunkard, right? And the thing is, you can even YouTube this stuff, man, about nuclear destruction. And when you see buildings getting hit by nuclear destruction, they actually weave back and forth, and then they fall. You know what I'm saying?
Or trees.
Yeah, or trees, right? You know what I'm saying? So you can actually look this stuff up, and like your brother said, you know, the prophets were saying it to the best of their ability. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
That's a lot of nukes, that's a lot of force.
Yeah.
You had to do something real quick.
Count. This is Malachi 4:1. It says, for behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all they that do wickedly shall be stubborn. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. And so these nuclear missiles is going to wipe this place out. It's going to be a desert, a desolate place forever. And like the scripture says, the wicked is saved for the day of destruction, man. So all you wicked out there, the Lord has a plan for you, and that's the nuclear missiles. It says, but unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stage.
Which is beautiful. What you said, each other rise with healing in his wings, man. You know, we're just getting beamed up in those chariots, getting delivered out of that nuclear destruction, which lines beautifully up with the Habakkuk 3. Can you start at the top on that, bro?
Habakkuk 3:1. A prayer of Habakkuk the prophet upon Shigaiah. O Lord, I have heard thy speech and was afraid. O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of the years, in the midst of years make known.
Revive thy work, make alive, man. So the prophecies is hitting, man. You know?
And wrath, remember mercy.
And wrath, remember mercy. So the wrath that's coming is this ICBM nuclear destruction. So where's the mercy at? The mercy comes in Psalms 91, man. Being beamed up into those chariots. You know, being covered by the wings of Yahawah'S. You know? We go there, bro.
The Most High came from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran, Selah. His glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise.
His glory covered the heavens, which is the chariots. And the earth was full of his praise. Go there, bro.
And his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his hands.
Which is the laser beams. Because he don't that type of fire is coming as well.
And there was the hiding of his power. Before him went the pestilence, and burning coals went forth at his feet.
Right, which is those nuclear fire, man. And shooting those laser beams at the same time. Whatever.
He stood and measured the earth. He beheld and drove asunder the nations. And the everlasting mountains were scattered. The perpetual hills did bow. His ways are everlasting. I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction, and the curtains of the land of Midian did tremble. Was Yahawah displeased against the rivers? Was thine anger against the rivers?
Right, man, because that destruction, man, when it's coming, is evaporating rivers and the Great Lakes, man, Lake Michigan, Superior, and all them. They're gonna be dried up, man. It's gonna be a wrap. Whatever.
Was thy wrath against the sea? That thou didst ride upon thy horses and thy chariots of salvation.
I mean, our chariots of salvation, man. So the Lord in his wrath, he's remembering mercy. Not only he's breaking this great destructive indignation, this great destructive judgment upon this place, he's bringing a judgment of salvation as well, man.
It says in the wisdom of Solomon, both were accepted. The salvation of thy people and the punishment of the wicked.
Yep.
Thy bow was made quite naked, according to the oaths of the tribes, even thy word, Selah, thou didst cleave the earth with rivers. The mountains saw thee and they trembled, overflowing of the water passed, the deep uttered his voice, and lifted up his hands on high. The sun and moon stood still in their habitation. At the light of thine arrows they went, and at the shining of thy glittering spear. Nuclear blackout. Thou didst march through the land, and there's going to be a lot of nukes, man, coming at once.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of nukes coming at once, man.
Like on 300, when he said how the arrows blotted out the sun coming and shit.
Like on that movie Hero with Jet Li.
Oh yeah, kind of, yep.
Thou didst march through the land in indignation. Thou didst thresh the heathen in anger. Thou wentest forth for the salvation of thy people, even for the salvation with thine anointed. Thou woundest the head out of the house of the wicked, by discovering the foundation unto the neck. Thou didst strike through with his staves the head of his villages. They came out as a whirlwind to scatter me. Their rejoicing was as to devour the poor secretly. Thou didst walk through the sea with thine horses, through the heap of great waters. When I heard, my belly trembled, my lips quivered at the voice of rottenness, entered into my bones, and I trembled in myself, like my rest in the day of trouble. When he cometh up unto the people, he will invade them with his troops.
Man, which is beautiful, man. Which is beautiful. I'm holding Isaiah 5 and verse 27. Because this goes along with basically it's the missiles. It says verse 27, none shall be weary nor stumble amongst them. None shall slumber nor sleep, neither shall the girdle of their loins be loosed, nor the latchet of their shoes be broken. Whose arrows are sharp, and all their bows bent. Their horses' hooves shall be counted like flint, and their wheels like a whirlwind. You know? And that's that fire that's coming, man. The brother read in Isaiah 66, you know, the Lord is pleading, which the word plead goes back to shapat, which means judge. He's judging this place by fire, man. He judged the first world by water, and this one gonna be judged by fire, man. It says, their roaring shall be like a lion, they shall roar like young lions, yea, they shall roar and lay hold of the prey, and shall carry it away safe, and none shall deliver it. And that's talking about the chariots, man, which is going to deliver the prey, which is the elect, and going to beam them out of that nuclear destruction. It says, in that day they shall roar against them like the roaring of the sea, and if one look unto the land, behold, darkness and sorrow, and the light is darkened in the heavens thereof. You know? So like John seen looking down, man, at that sea of glass, man, seeing that fire, man. You know?
This Habakkuk 3 and 11. The sun and moon stood still in their habitations, at the light of thine arrows they went, and at the shining of thy glittering spear. So that's also saying about, you know, that whole when the nuclear bombs hit, the blackout of, you know, the sun and the moon, you know what I mean? That it stood still. Another one I got is the 2 Thessalonians 1:6. It says, seeing it is a righteous thing with Yahweh to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you, and to you who are troubled rest with us, when Yahweh shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels in flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not Yahweh, and that obey not the gospel of our Lord Yahawashi Mashiach, who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of Yahweh and from the glory of his power. So, you know what I'm saying? It's saying about the flaming fire of vengeance, man, because when the nuclear bombs hit, Yahweh is going to come with his own, you know what I'm saying, destruction too. You know what I'm saying, at the same time.
This is Isaiah 30:30. And the Lord shall cause his glorious voice to be heard, and shall show the lighting down of his arm, with the indignation of his anger, and with the flame of a devouring fire, with scattering and tempest and hailstones. For through the voice of Yahweh shall the Syrian be beaten down, which smote with the rod. And in every place where the grounded staff shall pass, which the Lord shall lay upon him, it shall be with tabrets and harps, and in battles of shaking, while he fight, of shaking will he fight with it. For Tophet is ordained of old. Yea, for the king it is prepared. He hath made it deep and large. The pile thereof is fire, and much wood. The breath of Yahweh like a steam, like a slakia. The breath of Yahweh like a stream of brimstone doth kindle it, man. So that's along with them nukes, man. The Lord's going to be shooting laser beams out them chariots, man. Mm-hmm. All right, and the spirit of Yahweh Shai is going to be in the fire, man, and the fire from the nukes and the fire from the laser beams. All right, that's also in Isaiah, man. All right, the Lord is coming to fucking take this place down once and for all, man. To take down Satan, man. Wickedness, man. Esau, the fucking devil. That's right. And it's with a great and mighty destruction, man. Fire and brimstone. Right. Right, and you fucking dumbass niggas that want to serve these devils, man. The Lord's gonna flame y'all up too, man. All right, as that was part of the plan anyway. Cause y'all was the ones that was sacrificing y'all children to Tophet back then, man. And to this day, still sacrificing, man, to idols. This is Ezekiel 22 and 18. Son of man, the house of Israel is to me become dross. All they are brass and tin and iron and lead in the midst of the furnace. They are even the dross of silver. Alright? Over here in America, in hell, our captivity in the midst of the furnace, you niggas still refuse to get right. You niggas still refuse to acknowledge your sins, man. Alright? The whole head is sick, man. You have not been bound or mollified, man. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh, because ye are all become dross, behold, therefore I will gather you into the midst of Jerusalem, as they gather silver and brass and iron and lead and tin into the midst of the furnace, to blow the fire upon it, to melt it, so will I gather you in my anger and in my fury, and I will leave you there and melt you. Yea, I will gather you and blow upon you in the fire of my wrath, ye shall be melted in the midst thereof. As silver is melted in the midst of the furnace, so shall ye be melted in the midst thereof. Ye shall know that I, Yahweh, have poured out my fury upon you. And that's the Lord's judgment just for this time period, man. Because Zephaniah 3:8, he said he's gathering the heathens up over there in Jehoshaphat, man. And 2nd Ezra tell you that same judgment's coming, man. That fire, man. Alright? That mingled fire. Alright, to come in and destroy you motherfuckers, man. That's the finale.
I got a piece of it back you up. This is 2nd Ezra 13:5. This is, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. And what that's talking about right there is a chariot. I mean, he's seen a big ass chariot. You know, he's like, he thought it was a mountain, but he couldn't see where, you know, that piece of the mountain came out. So, you know, this is and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid, and yet there's fight, which is Esau being proud. You know, it says, and lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests, which are those laser beams from the chariots. Verse 11 it says, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid.
Right, so that made their weapons. All that shit was turned to dust, man. That's them elements being melted, man. That's that fire and brimstone. Alright? That's the end result of this fucking, this generation, man. Fire and brimstone. Turned all that shit to dust. Turned them to dust and they damn weapons, man. Turned the tanks to dust. All the high-tech shit they got turned to dust and smoke, man.
You gotta think about how hot that had to be to melt that shit too. That's extremely hot, man.
Power of the sun, man.
I got a precept. This 2 Peter 3:10. I'm gonna go to 12. It says, but the day of Yahweh will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. So if it's saying the elements will melt with fervent heat, what's the thing, you know, today that can do that, man? That's nuclear weapons. You know what I'm saying? The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness, looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of Yahweh, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. So, you know what I'm saying? That's plainly describing nuclear bombs going off and melting the heavens, man. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, we're hastening the day that comes, so Esau's kingdom can totally fall and ours begin right after. You know what I'm saying? Like we're just hoping that we're part of that number, so we don't have to go through, you know, getting burnt up, because that's hot as shit. You know what I'm saying? What's worse than that is also, famine? You know what I'm saying? We don't want to go through that. You know what I'm saying? Most I'm willing, we don't go through that. You know?
I got
that's scary shit. You know what I'm saying?
I got Revelations 18, and I'm saying at verse 5. It says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. And the cup which she hath filled to her double. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she said in her heart, I said, a queen and am no widow and shall see no sorrow. And that's the pride of these Edomites, man. Verse 8, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine. And she shall be utterly burnt with fire, for strong is the Lord power who judgeth her. And it's going to be judged with both those laser beams and that nuclear fire that the Lord sent. It says, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. Which goes back to that merchant city, man, which is Ezekiel 27, and this is verse 3. I'm going to jump around. I'm going to start at 2. I'm going to start at the top. Ezekiel 27 and 1. It says, the word of Yahawah'S came unto me, saying, now thou son of man, take up a lamentation for Tyrus, and say unto Tyrus, O thou that art situate at the entry of the sea, which are a merchant of the people for many isles. Thus saith the Lord power, O Tyre, thou hast said, I am of perfect beauty. Thy borders in the midst of thy seas, thy builders have perfected thy beauty. But anyway, I'm going to go down because that's the pride of these Edomites. Oh, America is this such a great place and all this bullshit, right? I'm going to jump down. This is verse 27. It says, thy riches and thy fairs and thy merchandise, thy mariners and thy pilots, thy caulkers and thy occupiers of thy merchandise, and all thy men of war that are in thee, and all thy company which is in the midst of thee, shall fall into the midst of the seas in the day of thy ruin. The suburbs shall shake at the sound of the cry of thy pilots, and all that handle the oar, the mariners and all the pilots of the sea, shall come down from their ships. They shall stand upon the land, and shall cause their voice to be heard against thee, and shall cry bitterly, and shall cast up dust upon their heads. They shall wallow themselves in the ashes, and they shall make themselves utterly bald for thee, because they're mourning, which goes back to Revelation 18 and 11. It says, the nations shall weep and mourn. It says, and they shall make themselves utterly bald for thee, and gird them with sackcloth, and they shall weep for thee with bitterness of heart and bitter wailing. And in their wailing they shall take up a lamentation for thee, and lament over thee, saying, what city is like Tyrus, like the destroyed in the midst of the sea? When thy wares went forth out of the seas, thou filledst many people, thou didst enrich the kings of the earth with the multitude of thy riches and of thy merchandise. And that's why these merchants is wailing, man. Because America, they cheap city, they money man, is destroyed, man. It's a wrap, you know. And like the brother said, man, once this destruction comes, that's the end of Esau and the beginning of it that followeth, which is the kingdom of Yasharallah, man.
That's right.
Ruling in righteousness, you know. But you brothers hold anything? So with that, man, hey, we hope it was edifying, you know. I'd like to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahawah'S. Double honors to our apostles and elders, a great millstone, and salutations to all you out there around the world preaching the gospel and truth in sincerity and with charity, who rightly dividing the word of truth directly and correctly. Shalom.
Shalom.